welcome to this edition of Empower 305. With us here today is District 1 Commissioner Miguel Gabela. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being here. It's a privilege for me to be here.
Thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
there's a lot of things that I want to talk to you about. I waited a bit to invite you to our show because I wanted you to get acclimated. And I know that you have a lot of projects underway. I've always had a question, and I wanted to know what actually brought you to want to be commissioner.
Commissioner, that's a good story. That's a good question. So many years ago, I never in my wildest dreams did I think I was ever going to be involved in politics. That is the truth, okay? But what happened was, and how I got involved into politics was that my wife and I bought our second home right across adjacent Sewell Park, on the east side of Sewell Park, where we still reside today. We've been there for 24 years. And in that park, back then, there was a lot of stuff going on. There was a lot of delinquency, a lot of drugs.
Yes.
And Carol and Stacy, they were 7 and 9 years old, and this was going on right practically next door. And so, a lot of the residents had become numb to this situation because it had been happening for so long and nobody, really did anything about it for quite some time. And I started getting involved. And then we petitioned because I remember the your equestrian department, the horses were
Yes.
being kicked out of Tropical Park. Yeah, remember that?
Yes.
And so when I found out about that, we had a plan to bring the horses over to secure the park. So I started lobbying the neighborhood. I started getting petitions. Me and Stacy, my daughter, the youngest one, we would go out on weekends to gather signatures to bring the stables to the park. And we were almost there. And what happened was, to make a long story short, how they ended up in Loomis Park was because a couple of people from the outside that really didn't even live in the district started making this whole thing is that it was going to be bad, that the police was going to take over, and then the zoning would change, and then there'd be buildings. And they just took one thing, and the politicians, they got to a point they didn't want to do it, and that's how it ended up in Loomis Park. And that's how I wound up getting into politics, because then Commissioner Angel Gonzalez asked me to join the zoning board.
So with all those projects that you had underway,
Yeah.
that's and sitting on the zoning board, that kind of shaped your vision and your insight of trying to make a difference, right? That's
Right.
what shaped you to where you're at today, correct?
Right.
And with that comes a lot of other things. How do you, because I know you speak about family and you have on several occasions, you're very thankful of your supportive wife, Mariela.
My wife, Mariela.
And how do you balance being a businessman, being a commissioner, and family?
If you're going to do this right, it's not a part-time job. It becomes a full-time job if you really want to do it, and you got to give your time. My wife has always been the driving force, behind me, really. Her word is a bond, and so is mine, and she taught me to be that way. But she is the driving force. She's the one. Damien and I would walk on. We walked like Moses. We were in the desert for every day, 3 hours, 4 hours. We walked.
But she is your driving force, and
She's
and
my driving force, and she was at home while we did that. She walked also sometimes, but she was manning the phones. The woman is, juggles, does a lot of stuff.
And you're very, very vocal about how important the family is.
Yes.
And it's very commendable. So, Alapata.
What I believe is that I was given a mandate, and I ran that I was going to bring the basic services, which is clean streets, well taken care of streets, sidewalks, infrastructure. So I gotta give the basic services that has been lacking in my area, and we're actually getting things done already as we speak. I don't know if you guys know, but we have a weed eater team and a trash collecting team. Apart from solid waste, that what the good job the solid waste does, we are out with teams of our pickup,
We've seen them out.
and they're all over Alapata, Flagami, and Grapeland. So solid waste picks up the trash on
A special pickup.
special pickup. So we're the main corridors. Our guys are always patrolling, going up and down. When there's, like I said, senior citizens that need help, or somebody that doesn't have the financial means, and they need to have their yard clean, we'll do that. Potholes.
That's important. So, lots of times people ask me, where do they call? The number to call if you live within District 1 is 305-250-5430, 305 250-5430. But I also know that you have district offices, correct?
We have district offices, so we have one in Parque Maceo, we have one in Grapeland Park, we have one in Parque Duarte.
So they don't just have to call, they can go in person.
Yes.
And it's being manned by your staff. That's
Yep,
awesome.
and so these guys, with all these guys, they'll be there for a little while. Some of them stay, some of them get them the trucks, and they start doing the routines. They're looking for trash, they're looking for potholes. If there's a sidewalk, that they'll take a picture. They'll coordinate it. They'll send it to Public Works. We keep a case log of those cases, and then we give it, following to make sure that it's completed.
And that's important. I know you have major corridors, like you have Northwest 20th, which is the business district
Yes.
in Alapata. I want to talk about that rich culture that there is in Alapata, the Dominican culture.
Yep.
Talk to me about that.
Well, I'm good with the Dominicans, and they helped me a lot in this campaign. A lot is going on in Alapata where development is coming in. And some of them complain to me that, there's a lot of gentrification going on. So we have to reach a balance, I think, of yes, we want development to come in. I want development to come in. I want, we want to go from poverty to progress is what we want to do.
So what
right?
strategies do you have
Well-
to promote small businesses? Let's talk about.
Okay, so one of the major ones that we have is we want to completely rebuild that infrastructure of the 17th Avenue corridor from the North River Drive going northward all the way up to 36th Street, and we're talking about sidewalks, streets, the lighting, the trees, the front of the buildings. Okay, we're going to do a festival once a year there.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
Like a street festival?
Like a street festival. Yeah, well,
Awesome.
the plan is to close it off and have a street festival once a year. Okay, you also have River Landing, that's been a big hit because it's brought a lot of people where they didn't have.
It's beautiful, too.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's a very lively place. There's a lot going on. We just said yes to a project on the commission, which is Dulce Vida, which is going to be on 18th Avenue and 35th Street, the Alapata Library. That's going to be substituted. There's going to be a library 3 times the size as the one there is now. It's going to be state of the art.
Oh, wow.
There's going to be housing. I think it's 250 units. A lot of it is going to be low income, and then there's going to be affordable for, let's say, firefighters, policemen. There's going to be housing for prosecutors because I didn't know
It's
this,
so
but now I know
close.
prosecutors only get 60 to 70 grand a year when
Yeah.
they start. That's not a lot of money for so they have to find. It's hard for them to find housing.
Affordable housing.
That's going to
That's
be
a great idea.
that's going to be available there too. So yeah, we're this is one of the projects, one of the money to come. We hope to do more.
Touching base with the with law enforcement and public safety, how do you what do you propose to strengthen those ties with law enforcement, with the Miami Police Department, to be able to continue to better serve the
Well,
residents of
number
District
number
1?
one, I've been on many roll calls and I continue to be, and I want you guys to know that I'm
You
there
were
for
there on
you.
Saturday. I saw
And,
your
and
roll call.
every time I can support you guys, I will. Not only by saying it, but by actually doing it. But when I got in December, January, and I started to speak to people like Larry Springs and other people, our CFO, one of the things that I always mention, hey, in this new contract that we're negotiating, I want there to be a negotiation where there's enough money that we're going to compete with the county, because what was told to me was that the rookie started out about $62,000, and we were behind the 8 ball. And what I said to Larry was, how can we make it that we can negotiate in there that we're going to start hiring at the same base rate salary that the county's doing, and we've done it. That's going to be put in place now with the passing of the new contract with the police. Okay, and now we will be able to attract more talent, because we're going to be able to compete with the county.
What legacy do you want to leave behind?
One of the things that we came in is on an anti-corruption platform, and what I'd like to do is with the help of others, put the city in the proper place where we're not talking about lawsuits all the time, and we're not talking about litigation, and we're not talking about what the other one did bad or what the other one did good. That we actually get things done for the actual residents. I believe that we wouldn't be spending half the time that we do, and I'm also guilty of this, fighting with each other or arguing. But you got to have the argument. Sometimes, in this job, sometimes you do things that are uncomfortable.
I know you believe in the people, and that's
I do.
important.
I do.
And you have to have heart for that, right?
Exactly.
And I think we all have a job, regardless of whether we're elected, we're city employees. I'm always very proud of my staff because they have that drive and that passion because they know that we work for the residents and for the business owners.
Right.
So I love to feature small businesses, which is what we talked about. I want to thank you for
Thank you.
being on our podcast today. But again, I want you to come back. I
I'll
want you to
come
come back and we'll talk.
Absolutely.
We'll talk again about other things that you have, that you're putting into perspective and all the beautiful things that you've already done. We've already attended plenty of your events, right?
Yes.
So you hit the ground running.
I got a good staff. I just want to say I'd like to thank all of my staff. And most of all, I'd like to thank my wife, okay, Mariela, and second, my kids, because, you need
That's
support
awesome.
for doing this.
Thank you for putting that into perspective because everyone is important regardless of where you're at.
Absolutely.
Thank you again.
Thank you again. Thank you.
That concludes our session today of Empower 305. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.